Welcome to this week's edition of Sun News Blazer Beat. I'm Zoe Hansen.
And I'm Troy Grimmond. Thanks for tuning in.
After recent allegations, the investigation on the Utah Tech women's basketball head coach J.D. Gustin concluded, and he received a 2-game suspension. Gustin has been an active coach since the season started and was involved in the WAC Basketball Preview Days interview. He has been involved in every game so far this season, but missed out on the game against Stonehill College and will also miss out on the game against Utah Valley on Saturday.
The Blazers men's basketball is picking up speed with a 73-66 win over Lindenwood University this week, bringing their record to 3 wins and 3 losses. It was double trouble for the Lions, with Blazers Jalen Searles and Tanner Christensen dropping 17 and 20 points apiece. This junior duo fell short of a double-double with 9 rebounds each. The Blazers head home to defend the Burns Arena against Utah Valley University this Saturday. The men's basketball team is currently 3-3 on the season. Sun News Daily sports writer Brant Farshow talked strategies for the basketball team this season with head coach John Judkins. Here's what he said.
Coach, glad to have you. If there was a word to describe last season, what would that be?
Oh, wow. We should have asked these questions before I got here. No, last season, that one's over. But I think I liked about that one is just we competed. I'd say compete. For how we started and where we finished, we competed every day, and I love to see that.
Right on. Last season, the team went 14-19 and started 2-4. The start of this season, the team is 3-3. What subtle or large changes have you seen made by you or the players?
Well, it's different. It's a whole different team. That's the hardest part about coaching right there is you get different guys in every year, and so you have to adjust to what you have, not, hey, this is what we did last year, so let's do it again. You got to find the right fix for our guys. So we're doing some things differently. I think we're more athletic. I think we're more sharing the ball, playing that way together. Last year we had a lot of mature guys, older guys. This team is a lot younger. And so we have to spend a lot more time teaching fundamentals and teaching what we want. But again, they've all been so coachable, and they all want to learn. They all want to get better. That's something that excites you as a coach.
And then lastly, is there any change in the game plan this year? Is it more offense or defensive based?
It's all the above.
All the above.
And all you got to do is outscore them, right? If you outscore them, you win. No, again, we talked about that today. Our offense is getting better. We still have a ways to go. Our defense, I thought our last game was a lot better than the game before. We're doing some things. But again, it's just new guys learning new systems, learning, hey, do I force baseline? Do I force middle? What do I do on a ball screen? There's things like that we're still having a little bit of trouble with our vocabulary, with our talking. And that's what we worked on today at the end. You saw that we were talking a lot more what we're doing on ball screens, what we're doing on drives, different things like that. So other than that, no, it's just get out and compete, play hard, and get better every single day.
It's no secret the men's basketball team can put up numbers, but can they go blow for blow with the best? Here are my top 3 picks for the Blazers' toughest and most entertaining matchups this season. Coming up at number 1, we've got Utah Tech versus California Baptist University. The Blazers dropped their last matchup to the Lancers 58-72. If we take a look at the stat sheet from the game, the Blazers had a higher 3-point percentage than the Lancers and were only out-rebounded 8 times. The Blazers had 3 more turnovers that game and were able to force the Lancers to give up the possession 14 times. The Blazers have 2 games against the Lancers, the first one being away and the second at home. Following the Blazers-Lancers contest, I've got the Blazers versus the Colorado Buffaloes. These 2 teams have never faced off before, and this is the Blazers' one of 2 Pac-12 opponents on their schedule. Last year, the Buffaloes placed 4th in the Pac-12 with an impressive 12-8 record. However, the Blazers faced 2 Pac-12 opponents last year in Arizona and Washington and lost by 10 and 12-point margins. I have a prediction that this game will be close, with either team winning by 5 points or less. Last but not least, I cannot ignore Utah Tech taking on Southern Utah University. Last year, the Blazers won 1 and lost 1 against the Birds, beating them by 8 away and losing by 10 at home. The Birds are starting the season at 2-3, while the Blazers sit on top of them at 3-3. In the past, it's anyone's game when it comes to these 2 teams. I'm predicting the Blazers win by 8 or more against the T-Birds both times.
Now with the Utah Tech women's basketball team. They carry a strong overall record going into conference play with 4 wins and 2 losses. The conference opener will be played in Wolverine territory against Utah Valley University on Saturday. UVU has nearly the same record as the Blazers with 3 wins and 2 losses, making this game a tough one for both teams. With that being said, despite the start of conference play, the Trailblazers have some tough matchups coming up. I have ranked the top 3 matchups for the Blazers for the remainder of the season. Can this year's team pull it off? First up is the University of Oregon. In the one previous matchup, the Blazers lost 35-84 in 2021. The Blazers have the chance to put up a good fight this year in the Trailblazer Classic, what I think is the strongest team in years. The Blazers will come out eager for a win after that previous loss, and it will be a hard-fought win. The next matchup is in-state opponent Utah Valley University. As mentioned, this game will kick off conference play for the Trailblazers. In the past 6 matchups, both teams have won 3 times. The final score has been close in each of these games, which proves UVU a tough opponent for the Blazers. I think this game will come down to the final seconds. And last but not least, the next matchup is common opponent Grand Canyon University. The Trailblazers have lost 14 times and won 5 times in the past. Similarly to UVU matchups, the games have been close in score, but I think the Trailblazers will come out with a win with the team's shooting success.
While basketball season has just begun, volleyball season has officially come to an end as the Grand Canyon Lopes claim the 2023 WAC Tournament Championship title. Head volleyball coach Camila Hafoka recaps the Blazers season and emphasizes the impact 3 graduating seniors had on the team. Here's what she had to say.
Obviously, I do wish we placed higher. I think we had plenty of opportunities and chances that we could have won some of those matches where we placed a little bit higher, but definitely like a learning curve. We had a lot of young kids that were playing that got a lot of good experience, but yeah, we definitely have a plan and are ready for this spring to make sure that we are reaching more of our goals in the fall. Some of our goals in the beginning of the season was obviously to make the WAC tournament. That didn't happen. But again, like I said, you take 3 or 4 points and you win them in some of these matches, and it makes a big difference. If you look record-wise, it doesn't look like we're actually competing, but for the most part, just within our team and our individual goals, yes, we've met a lot of them, but still a lot of work to do for sure. I think Taylor, Emma, and Kate definitely played a huge role as far as like building the foundation of where we need to be culturally as a team to compete here in the WAC. And the kids that we have recruited, I think, are really fit for this level, to not just compete, but to also help us get over the hump. And those 3 have definitely helped with that recruiting class for sure. So yes, big roles in helping us build our culture and our team, but the recruits coming in and the current kids that we have, I think, are ready to start rolling, and that's coming from those 3 for sure, and they're examples and they're as role models too.
Well, you know, the women's volleyball team had a very successful season. It didn't end as how they hoped. They missed the WAC tournament, and they have 3 leaders, 3 seniors leading. Zoe, it's going to be hard to fill those shoes.
It is, but they left a good impact on this team, and that impact is going to carry on, and that energy will play on for them to hopefully get their goals for next year. I think that goal to get to the WAC championship or the WAC tournament in general is a great goal, and I think that energy will carry over.
Well, and they were right there this year. I mean, they dropped 2 crucial games in the beginning, and it's just a matter of point differences. They chop some off, and they'll be good to go next year.
I agree.
After the break, we'll talk about some changes being made in the athletics department and the top 10 plays of the football season.
At the U.S. Center for Safe Sport, we see champions everywhere we look. In every sport, on every court, we're building a foundation to ensure all athletes are safe, supported, and strengthened. At the U.S. Center for Safe Sport, ending abuse is not just our job. It's our promise.
The hunt for a new head coach begins for the Blazers, as head coach Paul Peterson is relieved of his duties as head coach after a disappointing 2-win, 9-loss season, and only grabbing 1 win during conference play. Over his 5-year tenure as head coach, Peterson racked up a 17-32 record. Under his leadership this year, the Blazers only had 1,278 rush yards. This may seem like a lot until you take a look at the pass game. Peterson's passing offense racked up 2,960 yards, 1,682 more yards than rushing. Peterson's defense was not something to brag about either. Only 4 games were played where the opponent scored less than 4 touchdowns, with 3 of those 4 games ending up in a loss. Even with his termination, Peterson will be staying at Utah Tech, awaiting an assignment within the Blazers athletic department.
While the Blazers were 2-9 on the season, they had some ultimate plays this season that, let's take a look at the top 10.
Starting off with number 10, Ricky Johnson finds space away from the defense and jukes number 13, Aaron Sears, proving that speed kills.
At number 9, Kobe Tracy finds Ricky Johnson wide open for a 25-yard touchdown pass straight down the middle before taking a huge hit from Jeremiah Walker. And take a look at that celebration handshake with freshman Bo Sparks.
Keep your eye on QB Parker McKinney, because this play doesn't get far as Max Christensen III annihilates him for a loss of 8 yards.
Next up, Connor Brooksby sets up for his longest field goal of the season, a 55 yards straight through the post.
Check out Ryan Keene running down the goalpost to celebrate this massive field goal kick, and the sideline is absolutely fired up. Jumping straight into number 6.
This underrated move leaves Chris Street wide open for the touchdown, and it's good.
Number 5 is from Keith Davis's massive game as Tracy finds him for a 7 with a nifty slant route.
Talking about this Davis-Tracy duo, watch how perfectly placed this ball is, finding him between 2 defenders and a massive gain in yards.
Tracy again at number 3 has his man Ricky Johnson downfield and puts the pigskin right in the breadbasket, setting up the offense in the red zone.
Now let's take a look at a little bit more from Ricky Johnson, receiving a pass from Tracy into the end zone. But the part that stands out the most with this is how well he held on to that ball.
Capping it off with a perfect defensive play, Cyrus Webster pressures the quarterback into a horrible throw that lands into the hands of Devin Perkins for the pick 6.
I love all of those plays. You know, they didn't have the greatest season, but those plays really show that we do have some great talent on the team.
Well, there's also room to improve, Zoe. I mean, you take a look at the stats, it's a balanced game. We got to have rush yards and we got to have pass yards. Now, we had plenty of pass yards, and obviously the rush was lacking. So when teams kind of look at that, they're going to be like, oh, so this team loves to pass. They're not really going to give their ball to their backs. So, you know, we're going to play heavy on the zone, heavy on the man. We're not going to bring that much pressure because we know they're not going to run the ball upfield. They're just going to try and play the air game.
Yep, that's something they got to keep in mind next season.
And that's it for this week's edition of Sun News Blazer Beat. Thanks for tuning in.
We will see you here next week, same time, same place. Have a great week, Trailblazers.